All right, so you want to know more about creatine, huh? Specifically, how it affects your kidneys. Well, you're not alone.
Not at all. It's a question we get a lot.
Yeah, it's super popular, but there's, some confusion about the whole kidney thing.
For sure. And we're here to, clear that up for you.
Absolutely. That's the plan. Just a quick reminder for anyone who might not be totally familiar, creatine's a natural substance, helps your muscles make energy.
Right. And it's gotten pretty popular athletes, people into fitness, you name it, because it can, boost your performance, help you put on muscle.
Exactly. And we're even seeing it used in some pretty interesting clinical settings, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, it's amazing. Doctors are even looking into using it to, actually treat certain conditions, which is pretty wild for something that's already in our diets naturally, right?
Totally. With that being said, it seems like there's a bit of a hiccup when it comes to those standard health checks, especially for your kidneys.
Exactly. We're talking about the serum creatinine test.
Yep, that's the one. Doctors use it all the time to check on kidney function, but, and this is the important part, creatine can really mess with the results.
It's all about the way your body processes it. See, when your body breaks down creatine, it makes creatinine as a byproduct. That's what this test looks at.
Okay, I'm following you.
So if you're taking creatine, as a supplement, your creatinine levels are going to be a bit higher, even if your kidneys are perfectly fine.
Oh, so it's like this weird irony. You're taking something to be healthier, and then a routine test might make it look like something's wrong with your kidneys.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to really understand this. If a doctor only looks at this one test, they might think someone has kidney problems when really they're totally healthy, just taking creatine. It's what we call a false positive.
Man, that's gotta be so frustrating. Imagine going in for a checkup and suddenly they're worried about your kidneys, all because of a supplement.
And here's another thing, vegetarians, they often have lower creatinine levels naturally because they just eat less creatine in their diets.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. It's like this whole other layer to the story.
It shows just how easily this test, which seems simple on the surface, can be misinterpreted, especially if someone's using creatine.
Totally. So if this serum creatinine test isn't always reliable, especially for people taking creatine, what should we be looking at instead? How do we get a clearer picture of what's going on?
That's a great question. And it brings us to a marker you might not have heard of, but it's really important. Cystatin C.
Okay, so that serum creatinine test, not always giving us the full story. You mentioned cystatin C. Why is this one so important?
Well, it all comes down to how it's made. Creatinine, like we said, it's tied to your muscles, how much creatine you're taking. But cystatin C, that's a protein made by all your cells.
Okay, so it's everywhere, but how does that make it better for understanding our kidneys?
The key is your kidneys filter it out really consistently. Doesn't matter how much you work out, if you're taking creatine, anything, it's a much steadier measure.
Oh, so it's like a direct line to kidney function, not influenced by all that other stuff.
Exactly. That's why when we're really trying to figure out how someone's kidneys are doing, especially if they use creatine, we look at the cystatin C kidney function test. It measures how much of it is in your blood. Gives us a way better picture.
It's like getting a second opinion, but this time from a doctor who actually specializes in creatine. You know what I mean?
I like that analogy. It's about using the right tools. And it's important to remember we never rely on just one test for these kinds of things. Got to look at the whole picture.
That's a good point. So besides cystatin C, what other clues do we have when it comes to kidney health?
Well, something called hematuria basically means there's blood in your urine.
And I'm guessing that's not a good thing.
Definitely not something you want to see. Could be
Yeah.
a sign your kidneys are stressed or that something else going on.
Okay, so that's one red flag. What else?
Another one is albuminuria, means your kidneys are letting a type of protein leak into your pee. That protein's called albumin.
Another sign that something might be off?
Right. Could mean they're overworked or just not functioning as well as they should be.
So it's like having a whole team of doctors, each checking a different aspect of your kidneys, right? Gives you a more complete understanding.
Exactly. It's about knowing how all the pieces fit together and using that to make smart decisions about your health.
Makes sense. So we've talked about the tests and how relying on just one, like serum creatinine, can be misleading, especially with creatine. But the big question, the one I'm sure everyone's wondering is it actually safe for your kidneys, especially long term? So is it safe? That's the million-dollar question when it comes to creatine and our kidneys, especially over the long haul.
It really is. And the good news is, for healthy folks, yeah, tons of studies show that creatine at those typical doses, like 3 to 5 grams a day, totally safe, short-term and long-term.
That's great to hear. But what kind of studies are we talking about here? What were they actually looking at?
Well, they've looked at all sorts of things. But some of the biggies are GFR. That's glomerular filtration rate, how well your kidneys filter out waste. And proteinuria, which we talked about, can be a sign of kidney stress. And they're finding that in healthy people, creatine doesn't cause any bad changes in these areas.
Okay, that's definitely reassuring. But that term, glomerular filtration rate, could you break that down a little?
Yeah, for those of us who don't speak fluent, doctor.
Of course. Basically, think of it like this. GFR measures how well your kidneys are acting like filters. Getting rid of waste products in your blood. Good GFR. Your kidneys are doing their job. And the studies show that even when people use creatine long-term, their GFR stays healthy.
Gotcha. Like a big thumbs up for your kidneys.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there are some exceptions here. What about people who already have kidney problems? Is creatine okay for them?
That's super important. For most healthy people, creatine's fine. But if you already have kidney issues, even if they're mild, you got to be extra careful.
So what should people do if they're in that boat? Talk to their doctor. Absolutely. That's non-negotiable. They can figure out what's best for your situation, look at your medical history, all of that. And even if they do give you the okay to use creatine, you'll want to keep a close eye on things, especially with those more accurate tests, like the cystatin C.
Right, it's all about personalized care, making sure you're doing what's best for your own body. Now, you keep mentioning long-term studies, but how long is long-term? Are we talking decades? Creatine hasn't been around that long, has it?
You're right, the research has really ramped up in recent decades, so we're still gathering that super long-term data, particularly when it comes to those very specific tests, like the cystatin C eGFR. But so far, things are looking good. What we know right now definitely suggests that it's safe for healthy people.
That's good to hear. So let's wrap this up. What are the key takeaways for our listeners? What's the most important advice you can give?
I'd say if you're healthy and thinking about trying creatine, have a chat with your doctor, maybe get that baseline cystatin C test just to be extra sure, and then, yeah, enjoy the benefits.
Love it. Informed and empowered. That's what we like to hear. And for anyone listening who might already have some kidney concerns, remember, talk to your doctor. Creatine might still be an option, but it's a decision you want to make with them, not on your own.
Exactly. And hey, here's something else to think about. We've been focused on kidneys this whole time, but that's just one piece of the puzzle. Creatine's being studied for so many other things too. Athletic performance, brain power, even specific health conditions. It's pretty amazing.
It really is. It sounds like there's a ton more to learn about creatine and all its potential. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into creatine and your kidneys. Until next time, keep exploring.